Well, hello, folks. Jeffrey Daugherty, Christian Whistleblower. Welcome to the channel. Sorry to just get started right away on you, but I wanted to get this done and get this going because we have the great show coming up tonight. The consequential Rapscallion starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and 7 p.m. Pacific. And we're hoping that you'll all be there. It'll be myself and Scotty, your regularly scheduled Rapscallions. And of course, we're also going to be welcoming tonight the emotional meatball himself, Rocky Stucci. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that I'm a big fan of the work of David Icke. You know that I've been reading the new book by David Icke. And you know that Jay and I have been going over the new book by David Icke on The Last Stand. Of course, we've had things come up the past few weeks, great new shows that we've not been able to get back into the book for a little while. And I think the book's so important, so profound, that I mentioned it on Coast to Coast AM when I was on Christmas Day. And I want to continue to keep up with this book because the information that's being presented is so vitally important. And I'm going to get into chapter 1 today. We went through the introduction last time. We are doing this under fair use, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, fair use, does allow you to use copyrighted material for commentary, for parody, which I'm not doing here because I really appreciate David Icke's work. It allows you to use copyrighted materials in a way that is not in violation of any type of rules. And that's what we're doing here today. And we just wanted to let everyone know that that's what we're doing. And we wanted to share it with you and do so, of course, without any fear of copyright infringement. And of course, not meaning any copyright infringement. And boy, I tell you, when you try to get something good going, you just can't. Anyway, there's a copyright infringement disclaimer. So we're good to go. Let's talk about this great book by David Icke. And we're going to talk about coming from chapter 1, which is called The Biggest Need to Know. And he touches on something in this chapter, which is near and dear to my heart, near and dear to the work that I've been doing these many years. And it has been a few years now. And I'm excited that it's been a few years. I'm honored that it's been a few years. And I'm very, very happy to be involved in a work that makes a difference in the world and makes a difference in people and in people's lives. And we do appreciate you being here as everybody begins to file into the chat room. We appreciate you so much. And a lot of people have seen David Icke speak. A lot of people like David Icke and they appreciate his work. And you can certainly count me in that number, ladies and gentlemen. And while you're here, please do subscribe to the channel. And if you, well, thank you. Because of you, I ordered the book. I know we've helped Mr. Icke sell a lot of books, which makes me feel good. And I'm looking forward to the time when we can have him on this channel on The Last Stand with Jay and myself. So he's talking about religion here. And he says that the themes of religion have become so inverted from the original that today billions are following and worshiping the very opposite of what they think they are. And that's so true. We go over this almost every day, and this is pretty much the core of my message, that we are worshiping the opposite of what we think we're worshiping. I'm not worshiping him anymore, but many of you are. You're worshiping the God that you think is love, but you're actually worshiping the God of hate and death and fear and guilt and control. And it's not because you're stupid. It has been because you're ignorant. But folks, I have to tell you that the excuse for ignorance is over. There is no more excuse for ignorance. Ignorance is not an excuse anymore, because you must now look at the information that is available to you. So now you're no longer ignorant. You're either lazy or you're unsophisticated because you won't take advantage of this information that is there and is there for your choosing and your getting. You can put off 3 or 4 Starbucks and order this book on Amazon and read it. Put off 3 or 4 Starbucks, buy this book and read it. Because these religions have become so inverted and so distorted, and we should not be, and listen to this. Does this sound like I wrote it or what? We should not be worshiping anyone or anything when we are the anybody and everybody and anything and everything. We are divine. We are sovereign. We are free. We shouldn't be worshiping other beings. And any other being that wants to be worshiped is not a divine being. You don't demand worship or want worship. You want to be divine. You want to be sovereign. You want to be free. And so does any other truly divine, sovereign, and free being. They don't want worship. And it does sound like I wrote it. That's why I like David Icke so much, probably. And he says that we're living in systematically imposed ignorance. Think about it. We are living in systematically imposed ignorance. And it entraps us in a perceptual servitude and allows the tiny to control the very many. Think about that. Think of how many Catholic priests there are in the world. Not a lot. In the thousands, maybe the tens of thousands. Now think of how many Catholics there are. 1 billion by conservative estimate. Think of how many Christian preachers there are, Protestant Roman Catholics. Think how many Roman Protestant preachers there are. Relatively few compared to think now about how many Roman Protestant people there are. A tiny minority control a vast majority, and they control us with fear, they control us with guilt, they control us with control, and they control us through our own ignorance, which is morphing very quickly with books like this and channels like this from ignorance to unsophistication. If you're still worshiping a deity, you're either ignorant or unsophisticated. I'm leaning towards the latter. If you're still giving your power away, if you're still allowing yourself to be controlled by words written on a page thousands of years ago, that's either ignorant or it is unsophisticated, and you have access to the information. So that should rule out ignorance. Pisces 69 says, humanity, get off your knees, rise to your full potential. And I believe David Icke wrote a book very close to that title. I'm trying to look real quickly and see if I can find it. He wrote a book very closely to human race, get off your knees. The lion sleeps no more. I don't know if Pisces 69 knew that or not, but she was right on track with that. So if we are to free ourselves from this tyranny, the veil of perceptual illusion must be lifted. That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm here. I'm here, first of all, to let you know that there is indeed a perceptual illusion, that what you believe is not true, that what you've been taught is not true, that what you've been told is not true, that what you've been sold is not true. The Bible is a fear, guilt, and control document, 80% of it. Please stay on topic, and I don't want things to be advertised that are going to be on other channels. That doesn't help us. We're trying to stay on topic here. The Bible is a book of a fear and guilt control matrix. And until we realize this, we will be enslaved by that fear and guilt control matrix. The scale of illusion is staggering. And Icke says this in the book, ask all but a relative few if they live in a solid physical world, and they will all look at you blank, bewildered for even asking the question, saying, of course we live in a solid world. But those of us that are aware, those of us that know, those of us that understand, know that this is not a solid world. Not at all. In fact, there is nothing that is solid. It is an energetic world, and in all likelihood, it is an energetic matrix construct. Now, we're in this matrix. We are in this simulation, but we are not of this simulation. We are projected, manifested presence of the divine. So we are beyond this matrix, we're above this matrix, and when we allow ourselves to think that we're part of it, that's when we truly become disempowered, ladies and gentlemen. As David Icke says, there is no solid. And he makes a great analogy here. The fake news mainstream media dismisses other versions of events as conspiracy theories and too far-fetched to believe, while reporting the world from the perspective that everything is solid when it isn't. Ladies and gentlemen, the inmates are truly running the asylum. The inmates are truly running the asylum. And tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern, no, I got that all wrong. 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific, we'll have the Consequential Rapscallions with special guest Rocky Stoogie. Looking forward to that. And we'll be talking about some of these concepts there again tonight. And part of our problem is not our problem, but the problem of the people that we allow ourselves to be controlled by. Their problem is that they think they're so smart. They think they're so smart. And in reality, folks, the smartest of us is cursed with a thing that we call sight. Human sight is verging on the blind when you compare what we can see with what we can't see, says David Icke. And that's so true. When you talk about the visible spectrum, we see less than 0.005%. Now, let me give you a perspective. If it was 0.1%, that would be a tenth. If it was 0.01, that would be a 100th. But it's 0.005, so that means 10 hundredths, 1/10, 100, 1,000th. Yeah, that means we see 5 out of 1,000%. And we call ourselves sighted. Pisces smells colors. A lot of people do. Very interesting. Think of that. 5 1,000ths of a percent. Not 5%. 5 1,000ths of a percent is what we see of what's really there. I'm looking at a beautiful lake. I'm looking at beautiful trees. I'm looking at beautiful grass. I'm looking through the windows of a beautiful home. I'm looking through some pretty cool blue eyes, but I'm seeing 5 1,000ths of what is really here in terms of energy and in terms of what is called matter. Ladies and gentlemen, I would submit to you that what percent are we seeing spiritually? And while you're pondering that, think of this. Every second, and this is again coming from the Icke book, Everything You Need to Know But Have Not Been Told. Every second, 11 million sensations crackle along our brain pathways. So the brain is confronted with such an alarming array of images, sounds, and smells, and it rigorously filters them down until it's left with a manageable list of about 40. 40 sensations per second make up what we perceive as reality. 11 million reduced down, ladies and gentlemen, to 40. Think of that. 11 million sensations we pick up, reduced down to 40. And if you get yourself physically optimized, If you get yourself spiritually optimized, you can move that number up. But think about that. 5 1,000ths of everything that's real is what we see. 40 out of 11 million pieces of data that come into our mind per second, we're able to have any interaction with. Get yourself physically optimized. This time last year, I weighed 65 pounds more than I do today. And I can guarantee you right now, if I was at 41 pieces of 11 million a year ago, I'll bet I'm at 81 now, 82. And just wait till 2020 comes. I'm going to be even better. And we're going to have Halo Marquise back with us tomorrow to talk about Mistec. There's a lot of concern about the Schumann resonance going crazy. I don't worry about it. And right now, there's 5 reasons why I don't worry about the Schumann resonance. There's 2 of them. There's 3 more, but we'll talk about that tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. How's your spiritual vision? What are you seeing spiritually? What are you perceiving spiritually? What are you understanding spiritually, ladies and gentlemen? That's a great question to ask yourself, isn't it? That's a great practice to engage in. Let's at least get our spiritual sight quotient up to where our physical sight quotient is. Let's at least begin to understand 5 1,000ths of what the reality is around us in spiritual terms. Let's at least begin to comprehend 41 spiritual thoughts per second, or was that minute? I'm not sure what it was. I think it was it minute or seconds? It was, what was it? Crackle along these pathways. 11 million cycles across, I don't know if it's a minute or second, per second. Is that what Jesus was talking about when he talked about trying to capture all thought, take all thought captive, try to see more of what's really here? And some of you are seeing it. I get emails from you. I get letters from you. You're seeing more than what you have seen. They say you're seeing things that aren't there, but they just can't see them. That's why they say that. And we are seeing things now more than we have seen. It's happening in my life. It's happening in your life. I'm hearing things that I've never heard. I'm perceiving things that I've never perceived. We are in the midst of ascension. I was told today that, I believe, Suspicious Observer, and I've never watched their channel, but some of my friends have, and they said that we are about, I want to say like 80% already into whatever this change is going to be physically on the earth. I think we're fast approaching that in terms of what spiritual changes are as well. And if I misquoted those levels, take it with a grain of salt. But the point is that we're already moving towards physical change. It's not just going to be like this. And we're already have the ability to move towards spiritual change too. And that can be like this if we decide that it's going to be. And I think you should decide to get this book. I'll show it to you one more time. Everything you need to know, but have never been told. I'm that far through it, so I've got a little bit ways left to go. It's 700 pages, but it's about $20. That's maybe 3 or 4 or 5 Starbucks. Do yourself a favor and don't go to Starbucks this week and get that book. And if you get a chance, let them know that the Christian Whistleblower told you to get it. I can use all the help we can get getting David Icke on the show. I'd love to have him on the show just because I'd love to have him on the show, but we'd love to get this information out and get it straight from the horse's mouth. And that's not to call Mr. Icke a horse, even though a lot of people have called him a donkey. But here he is all these years later. And on the back of the book, it says something very interesting. It says, the madman has been proven right again and again. Yeah. And he says he's been proven right again and again and again. I've only been proven right again and again because I haven't been doing it as long as David Icke has been doing it. So tonight, great show, special edition of Consequential Rapscallions with Rocky Stucci. Sunday night, and I have to apologize to Rocky because I double booked. Sunday night, special edition of The Last Stand with Laura Eisenhower. And then Monday, of course, the regularly scheduled Last Stand. Good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Powerful stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if I can run through the chat room here and see if there's any questions that I can address. Tess saw David Icke speak in San Francisco, talked for 14 hours. Wow. Thank you, Fifth World. What else we got? Claire says, because of me, she ordered the book. Thank you. Pisces 69 loves David. Tracy Dyer says she loves the book, just wish the chapters were shorter. Yeah, David does have the long chapters. If anyone has access to information, there's no excuse. I agree with that. We are giving our power away. We're battling our own greed and vanity. Yes, we are. Humanity, get off your knees. We already read that one. Inversion is a key word. It is. We are living in the upside down. If you go to a supermarket where all the answers are wrong, do you have a free will? Free will requires facts. Yes, there is. There is an evolution of consciousness, says the bearded one. I agree with it. Drop everything you were previously taught. I agree. Ask your inner spirit for guidance. I agree. The only God you need sees you every morning in the mirror, says the bearded one. I agree 100%. Joe Stevens says, David Icke and I, well, that's nice of you, are great at speaking his own thoughts. He salutes, and I salute right back. The book is mind-bending, says Awakened Being. Ignorance gets thrown around a lot, study a lot. The less I know, so I get to study on. Absolutely. Even our third eye needs glasses these days. Isn't that the truth? Seven Serpent says dogs and cats see more of reality than we do. That is true. I'm not sure what yellow smells like. I think yellow smells like nature, flowers. It has a sweet smell. Am I right, Princess 69? Just imagine what we can't see. How beautiful and awe-inspiring that must be. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's many spectrums. There are. Horses see a lot more. They get spooked easily too. As you begin to see more, don't get spooked. You can handle it. You can handle it. Joe Stevens cautions us against trusting our third eye. I think that we should be careful with everything. I would agree. There's a fourth eye in the back of the head, the jade pillow. I've not heard that. That's fascinating. The world is going crazy. And if you're like Doug Sam, he says the world's going batshit, but he's not worried about it. He laughs at it. He's detached from it. Doug, I feel you, brother. I feel the same way. And people look at me like I'm crazy. I made a decision yesterday. I used to get upset as more I discover how much we've been lied to, the more I discover how much we've been cheated, the more I discover how much we've been effed with. I won't tell you what that means on a family hour, but the more we've been effed with, it was making me angry. But I decided to take the advice of Bill Hicks, the great comedian, realize that life is just a ride and treat it like a game. So every time I discover another place I've been lied to, I'm like, I gotcha. So now it's a game to me. It's called uneffery. And I am engaged in the game of uneffery. Mandy sees light, shadow people. Higher self has this planned already. I like that. Time to turn things around. Listening to my spiritual thoughts right now. Good. Start detaching from your physical body. Yes. That's good. That's possible. That is possible. Jesus, my brother, showed people powers. Yes, he did. I've been reading this book out loud with David Icke's accent. It makes it easier and more fun to read. That's funny, Sarah Dillon. I like it. I like it. Isn't Bill Alex? That's funny. Still got to pay the bills, work 2 jobs, whatever, you know. Well, salutes to you, and it's going to get better. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the last generation of real humans. I am engaged at allowing you to figure out, to give you the information so you can discover that this is, ladies and gentlemen, we are the last generation of real humans. This is a simulation. This is an inversion. And we're living in the upside down, ladies and gentlemen. We're living in the upside down. Dean Aldridge says that he met David Icke and his son Gareth in a battle of the bands where he was a sound engineer. And yes, I understand Gareth is a talented musician, and that it's reported by Dean Aldridge that David Icke is a good man who is very supportive of his son. Nice to hear. It's good when nice people do well. And since the dogs are doing crazy, I think I'll go ahead and back on out of here. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I'm here to help you stop being unsophisticated. I'm here to help you unindoctrinate yourself, guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru. Why? Because we're the last generation of real humans. And it's time for us to get the book, Everything You Need to Know But Have Never Been Told, and it's time for us to get busy.